The endless void of space stretched before Lieutenant Commander James Chen as he piloted his small Corvette-class patrol ship through the Omega sector. His dark eyes scanned the radar displays out of habit. This region hadn't seen action in months. The Earth Defense Fleet had assigned him this quiet patrol route as a break after his last intense mission. James was about to call in his routine check when a flash of light caught his attention. At first, he thought it was just space debris, but the object's movement pattern was too controlled. He leaned forward, adjusting his scanners for a better look. "What do we have here?" he muttered, watching as the readings came in. The object was small, probably an escape pod, and its energy signature was like nothing he'd ever seen before. But what really got his attention was the distress signal it was broadcasting. Just as he was about to move closer, his ship's warning systems blared to life. 3 larger ships had just dropped out of hyperspace, and they weren't broadcasting any friendly signals. "Pirates. Perfect," James said with a grim smile. "Just when I thought this patrol would be boring." He pushed his engines to full power, racing toward the escape pod before the pirates could reach it. As he got closer, he could see that the pod was made of some sort of crystalline material that seemed to glow from within. The pirates opened fire, their energy beams cutting through space. James's hands flew across his controls, making his small ship dance between the shots. He'd earned his reputation as one of the best pilots in the fleet, and now it showed. "Hang on," he said to whoever was in that pod, even though they couldn't hear him. "I'm not leaving you out here." His ship's tractor beam locked onto the pod just as another volley of pirate fire streaked past. With practiced skill, James pulled off a maneuver that should have been impossible, using the energy from the pirates' own weapons to boost his ship's speed as he yanked the pod to safety. Once the pod was secure in his cargo bay, James sent out a quick distress call to the fleet before heading down to check on his rescue. The cargo bay's air pressure had barely normalized when the pod's top section became transparent, revealing its occupant. James stopped in his tracks. Inside was what looked like a young woman, but her skin was semi-transparent and seemed to shimmer with an inner light. She was clearly unconscious, her crystalline form pulsing weakly with what he hoped was her version of a heartbeat. The pod's systems released with a gentle hiss, and James rushed forward to help. As soon as he touched her, he felt a strange tingling sensation. Her skin was warm but felt like smooth glass. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises that looked like swirling galaxies. She focused on James and spoke in perfect English, though her voice had an echo-like quality. "You saved me. I'm Lieutenant Commander James Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet," he said, helping her sit up. "You're safe now." "I am Princess Corella of the Lumini," she said, her form brightening slightly. "Those pirates, they attacked my royal vessel. I barely escaped." She tried to stand but stumbled, and James caught her. "Thank you, brave human," she said, her voice growing stronger. Then she made an announcement that caused James to freeze. "As per our most sacred traditions, I formally request to host you within my body as thanks for my rescue." James blinked, sure he had misheard. "I'd what?" Before he could get clarification, his ship's alarms began blaring again. The pirates had brought reinforcements. Corella's crystalline form pulsed with worry. "They cannot find me. The data I carry is too important." She tried to stand again, her expression determined despite her weakness. "Please, human, will you accept my offer of hosting? It is our highest form of gratitude." James looked at the alien princess, then at his tactical display showing 5 more pirate ships approaching, and wondered just what kind of mess he'd gotten himself into. The pirate ships closed in as James helped Princess Corella to the bridge of his Corvette. His mind raced. 5 enemy ships against his small vessel weren't good odds, even for him. "Your ship's weapons cannot defeat them all," Corella said, her crystalline form glowing with concern. She steadied herself against a wall, her galaxy-like eyes fixed on the tactical display. "They were hired by the Shadowclaw faction. They will not stop until they have me." James's fingers flew across the control panel. Who are they? And what do they want? They wish to prevent me from reaching the peace talks, Corella explained. Her voice became softer. I carry crucial data within my crystalline matrix. Data that could end a century of war between our peoples. The ship rocked as the first volley of enemy fire struck their shields. James pulled hard on the controls, sending them into a spiral that barely avoided the second attack. My people, the Lumini, evolve as protectors, Corella continued, watching James pilot with obvious admiration. Our bodies can host other living beings, keeping them safe within our crystalline forms. It is why I offered to host you. It is our highest honor. James would have responded, but another blast rocked the ship. A warning light flashed red. We're losing power to the rear shields. Corella stumbled forward, catching herself on his chair. Please, let me help. If you would accept hosting, our combined abilities cooled. Little busy right now. James cut her off, sending the ship into a tight turn that made the hull groan. Ahead of them lay a dense asteroid field. It was risky, but it might be their only chance. They're splitting up, James noted, watching the enemy ships form a pattern. They're trying to box us in. Corella's form pulsed with worry. Human ships cannot safely navigate that asteroid field at high speed. James gave her a quick grin. Watch me. He pushed the engines to full power and dove straight into the field. Massive rocks tumbled around them, as James weaved through gaps that seemed impossibly small. Behind them, one of the pirate ships clipped an asteroid and spun out of control. Impressive, Corella exclaimed, her crystal body glowing brighter with excitement. But the strain on your ship. A tremendous crash interrupted her as a piece of debris struck their hull. Warning sirens blared throughout the ship. Hull breach in cargo bay, James announced, fighting with the controls. We're losing atmosphere. Please, Corella said urgently. You must understand, hosting isn't what you think. My people evolved to protect smaller species within our bodies. We can share oxygen, heal injuries, even enhance natural abilities. It's like being inside a living ship. Another blast rocked them, as one of the pursuing ships got lucky. More warning lights flashed across the console. Life support is failing, James said grimly. We've got maybe 10 minutes of air left. Corella moved closer, her crystalline form now pulsing steadily. I can protect you, keep you alive, but you must trust me. She held out her hand, which seemed to shimmer with inner light. Will you let me show you how my people have protected others for thousands of years? James looked at her offered hand, then at the rapidly approaching asteroids and the pirate ships still in pursuit. The air was already getting thin. They were running out of options. Through the viewport, he could see another wave of pirate ships emerging from hyperspace. There would be no outrunning them now. He had to make a decision. Trust this alien princess he'd just met, or face certain death in the cold vacuum of space. Taking a deep breath of the failing atmosphere, James reached for Corella's outstretched hand. The sensation was unlike anything James had ever experienced. As Corella's crystalline form enveloped him, he expected to feel trapped or crushed. Instead, it was like floating in warm water filled with soft light. He could breathe easily, and his mind felt strangely clear. Are you all right? Corella's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. The first hosting can be overwhelming. I can see everything, James said in wonder. Through Corella's crystalline body, space looked different. He could see energy patterns in the asteroids, trace lines of radiation he never knew existed. This is incredible. Focus, Corella urged gently. We must reach the ship's controls together. I can protect us from the vacuum, but we still need to escape. Working together, they moved Corella's crystalline form to the pilot's seat. James could feel her guiding his movements, teaching him how to see through her crystal matrix. His hands, or rather, her hands guided by his mind, touched the controls. The pirates are still coming, James observed, watching energy patterns swirl around their pursuers' ships. But I can see their engine signatures now. Their weak spots are clear. Yes, Corella agreed. This is how my people have always helped our allies. We enhance their natural abilities, share our perceptions. Here, let me show you something else. Suddenly, James could access the data stored in her crystalline matrix. Complex peace treaties, military positions, resource agreements, all flowing through his mind like a gentle stream. These treaties, he gasped, they could prevent a war. Yes, Corella said sadly. My people, the Lumini, have been mediators for countless species, but the Shadowclaw faction profits from conflict. They want these talks to fail. A blast rocked the ship, bringing them back to their immediate danger. Through Corella's enhanced senses, James guided them deeper into the asteroid field. Her crystal form allowed him to plot paths he never could have seen before. Your piloting skills, Corella said with admiration. They're extraordinary. With my perception and your instincts, we make a good team, James finished, feeling her agreement resonate through their shared form. They wove through the asteroids at impossible speeds, leaving the pirates struggling to follow. 2 more enemy ships crashed into rocks they couldn't dodge in time. During a brief quiet moment as they hid behind a larger asteroid, Corella spoke again. I must apologize, James. I now understand why you hesitated when I offered hosting. In your culture, being inside someone has different implications. James felt himself blush, the sensation strange within the crystal matrix. Yeah, there was definitely a cultural misunderstanding there. Corella's form rippled with what James now recognized as laughter. How embarrassing. To think I was formally offering what your species would consider. Oh my. Their shared embarrassment was interrupted by proximity alarms. The pirates had found them again. They're trying to surround us, James noted, watching through their enhanced vision, as ships moved to cut off escape routes. Yes, but they don't know that we're together now, Corella said. They're still looking for 2 separate life signs, one human, one Lumini. Their sensors will only detect my crystalline form. James grinned inside their shared space. Then maybe it's time we showed them what a human and a Lumini can do together. He felt Corella's excitement mirror his own as they prepared to fight back. Through her crystal form, he could now target the pirates' weak spots perfectly. Through his combat experience, she understood exactly how to move for maximum effect. As they emerged from behind the asteroid to face their attackers, James realized that what had started as a rescue mission had become something much more important. The beginning of a partnership that could change both their species forever. Through Corella's crystalline form, James watched as the pirate ships closed in. But instead of fear, he felt a strange sense of calm. Inside her living crystal matrix, his mind worked faster than ever before. They're charging weapons, he said, observing the energy buildups through their shared enhanced vision. All ships at once. Their attack pattern is different this time, Corella noted. James could feel her concern rippling through their connection. They're not trying to destroy us. The pirates fired simultaneously. Instead of explosive energy bolts, waves of pale blue light washed over their ship. The control panels went dark instantly. An electromagnetic pulse, James realized. They've disabled our ship's systems. Clever, Corella admitted. They need the data in my matrix intact. They believe that without your ship's life support, you'll be forced to surrender or die. James felt her crystal form pulse with determination. But they don't know you're safe within me. We still have options. Through their shared senses, they watched as the pirate ships moved closer. A larger vessel emerged from hyperspace behind them, a boarding craft. I can access more of my matrix's capabilities now, Corella said. With your mind helping to process the data, we're stronger together. Would you be willing to go deeper into the hosting? Deeper? James asked, feeling both curious and slightly nervous. A full neural sync. It's rarely done with non-Lumini. But, she hesitated. It would let us fight as one. though the experience might be overwhelming for you. The boarding ship was getting closer. They had minutes at most. "Will it help us survive?" James asked. "Yes, but you'll experience everything as I do. All my memories, my thoughts. And I'll experience yours. There will be no secrets between us." James took a mental breath. "Do it." The world exploded into crystal clear light. Suddenly, he wasn't just seeing through Corella's form. He was experiencing existence as a Lumini. Centuries of cultural memories flooded his mind. The joy of first hosting, the sacred duty of protection, the pride of bringing peace to warring species. At the same time, he felt Corella experiencing his memories. Growing up on Earth, joining the fleet, his first space battle, every triumph and failure that had led him to this moment. When their minds fully synchronized, both gasped at the sensation. They were no longer simply James or Corella. They were something new, something unprecedented. "This is," James started. "Incredible," Corella finished. Together, they reached out with their enhanced senses. The pirates' boarding ship was nearly docked. Through the crystal matrix, they could see the boarding team preparing their weapons. They expect to find a helpless human and a weakened Lumini. They thought as one. Their mistake. Moving with perfect coordination, they channeled energy through Corella's crystal form. The pirates had disabled their ship's systems, but they hadn't counted on the living power source that Corella's body provided. As the first boarding team cut through the airlock, they were met with an astonishing sight. A crystalline figure glowing with intense inner light, hovering in the zero gravity of the depressurized ship. "Impossible," the lead pirate muttered. "The human should be dead from vacuum exposure." The crystal form, neither fully Corella nor fully James, but both, pulsed with powerful energy. James's combat training merged with Corella's natural abilities created something the pirates had never faced before. "You were right about one thing," their shared voice echoed through the ship's corridors, making the pirates step back in fear. A human couldn't survive in space alone. Their crystalline form began to glow brighter. "But we are not alone. And now you'll learn why both our species are considered protectors of peace." The pirates raised their weapons, but against this unprecedented fusion of human and Lumini, they were about to discover just how outmatched they truly were. The pirates never stood a chance. Their boarding team faced something unprecedented, a perfect fusion of human combat training and Lumini crystal powers. Through their shared consciousness, James and Corella moved as one being, their crystalline form flowing like liquid light. "Stand down," the pirate leader shouted, energy rifle shaking in his hands. "We have orders to take the princess alive." The crystal form that was both James and Corella pulsed with amused energy. "You seem confused." They spoke in unison, their voice echoing with harmonic tones. "We are not your prisoner. We are your problem." James's military training guided their movement while Corella's crystal powers provided the means. They flowed around energy bolts like water, the crystal matrix absorbing and redirecting the attacks back at their enemies. Pirates fell unconscious as reflected stun blasts hit them. But the real breakthrough came when they accessed the peace treaty data stored in Corella's matrix. "James," Corella's thoughts merged with his. "Your human mind. It processes patterns differently than ours. Look at the data." Together, they dove into the complex peace agreements. Where Lumini minds saw linear connections, James's human perspective revealed hidden patterns. Information that would have taken Corella's people days to process became clear in hours. The Shadowclaw faction, they realized together. They're not just trying to stop the peace talks. They're hiding something in the treaty data itself. Their shared consciousness raced through the information. James' experience with military codes combined with Corella's understanding of intergalactic law revealed the truth. The faction had embedded secret coordinates in the treaty terms. Weapon stockpiles, Corella understood through James's tactical analysis. And the key to decode their location was in plain sight. James added through Corella's diplomatic knowledge. They'd been preparing for war while pretending to negotiate peace. More pirates burst through the ship's inner doors, but they were too late. The merged form of James and Corella had already decoded the hidden information. Their crystalline body glowed with triumphant energy. "Your faction's deception is exposed," they announced to the shocked pirates. "And we've already transmitted the evidence to both our fleets." The pirate commander's face went pale. "That's impossible. No one could process that data so quickly." "No single species could," they corrected him. "But together." A new alarm sounded throughout the ship. Through their enhanced senses, they detected multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. But this time, they weren't pirate vessels. Earth Defense Fleet vessels approaching from Vector 1. James recognized the energy signatures. "And Lumini peacekeeping ships from Vector 2, Corella added. Their shared form turned to the now terrified pirates. "Your choice is simple. Surrender to us, or explain yourselves to them." The pirates dropped their weapons. As their reinforcements secured the enemy ships, James and Corella maintained their merged form, still processing the incredible experience of their union. Neither had imagined that combining their species' abilities would create something so powerful. "We should separate soon," Corella's thoughts whispered in their shared consciousness. "Extended hosting can be draining." "Wait," James's mind replied. "Look at how much we've learned. Your people's hosting abilities, combined with human adaptability." Their shared form pulsed with excitement as they both understood the implications. This wasn't just about stopping one faction's plot. They had discovered a whole new way for their species to work together. The peace talks, they thought as one. This changes everything. As both fleets secured the area, their crystalline form glowed with hope. They had done more than expose a conspiracy. They had discovered the future of human-Lumini relations. And they were just getting started. The journey to the peace conference should have been simple after their victory over the pirates. But as James and Corella's merged form watched from their escort ship's viewport, they knew something was wrong. "The defense patterns are off," they thought together, their crystalline body pulsing with concern. The space station hosting the peace talks was heavily guarded, but the patrol movements seemed strangely mechanical. "Automated defenses only," James's military training noted. "Where are the living guards?" Corella's diplomatic experience questioned. Their answer came in the form of explosions rippling across the station's outer ring. Emergency beacons flared to life as panic spread through the facility. The Shadowclaw faction knew we were coming, their shared consciousness realized. This was their backup plan. Through their combined senses, they detected multiple hostile signatures inside the station. The faction had already infiltrated the peace talks. "We have to get inside," they decided. "The delegates are in danger." The Earth and Lumini escort ships moved to engage the revealed enemy vessels, leaving James and Corella's merged form free to act. They launched themselves through space, their crystalline body easily withstanding the vacuum. Inside the station, chaos reigned. Faction soldiers had taken control of key sections, trapping diplomatic delegations from 20 species in the main chamber. "Interesting," their shared mind observed, watching through walls with their enhanced perception. "They're not killing anyone. They want witnesses," they understood together. When the peace talks fail spectacularly, they want everyone to see it happen. Moving through maintenance ducts, their crystalline form flowed like liquid light. The faction soldiers never saw them coming. One by one, guard posts went silent as James's combat skills and Corella's crystal powers worked in perfect harmony. They reached the main chamber's upper level just as the faction leader addressed the captured delegates. "Your peace talks are a lie," he was saying. "We've proven that humans and Lumini working together will only lead to dominance over other species. Look at what they've already done. Their combined form is an abomination." That was when James and Corella revealed themselves, their merged crystalline form descending from above in a display of graceful power. "You want to show them what humans and Lumini can do together." Their harmonic voice rang through the chamber. Then watch carefully. What followed was unlike anything the delegates had ever seen. The faction soldiers opened fire, but the merged form flowed around their attacks like water. James's strategic mind and Corella's natural abilities created something beautiful and terrifying. A dance of crystal and light that disabled their enemies without causing serious harm. You fear what you don't understand, they addressed the faction leader as his soldiers fell. We are not an abomination. We are the future. Through their shared consciousness, they projected the truth they had discovered. Images of their memories, the trust they had built, the way their partnership made both species better. The pirates you hired. They continued, their crystal form glowing brighter. They saw what we could accomplish together. And now, so will everyone else. The faction leader pulled out a final weapon, a dark matter bomb. I'll destroy this station before I let your unnatural union succeed. But he had already lost. Their merged form had detected the bomb's energy signature minutes ago. By the time he reached for it, the device had been crystallized and contained within a fragment of their own matrix. Our unnatural union just saved your life, they told him as station security forces finally broke through. Remember that while you're in prison. As the delegates were freed and order restored, James and Corella maintained their merged form. Through their shared consciousness, they felt the shift in the room, fear and suspicion giving way to curiosity and hope. They had done more than stop an attack. They had shown everyone a glimpse of what the future could be. After hours of sharing consciousness, James and Corella finally separated. The process was gentle, their crystalline form softening until James stepped out, both of them taking a moment to adjust to being individuals again. That was, James steadied himself against a wall, his mind still buzzing with the lingering connection. Extraordinary, Corella finished, her crystal form pulsing with soft light. No Lumini has ever maintained such a deep hosting with a human before. They stood in a private chamber of the peace conference station, while outside, history was being made. The delegates had been in session for hours, rewriting treaties based on what they had witnessed. Lieutenant Commander Chen, Princess Corella, a voice called from the doorway. The council requests your presence. They entered the grand chamber together. Representatives from 20 species sat in tiered seats, their attention focused on the human and Lumini who had changed everything. The Earth Defense Fleet Admiral and the Lumini High Chancellor stood at the center. We have reached a decision, the Admiral announced. What you two have demonstrated goes beyond simply stopping a terrorist attack. You've shown us a new way forward. The Lumini Chancellor's crystalline form glowed with formal dignity. For centuries, we Lumini have hosted other species in times of need, but never have we achieved such a perfect synthesis. Therefore, the Admiral continued, we are creating a new joint program, the Human Lumini Cooperative Force. Corella's form brightened with surprise and joy. James stood straighter, feeling the weight of the moment. Lieutenant Commander Chen. The Admiral addressed him directly. You are being promoted to commander and appointed as the first human ambassador to the Lumini people. Your experience in hosting will be invaluable in training others. And my daughter, the Chancellor turned to Corella, you will lead the Lumini side of this endeavor. Your courage in trusting a human so completely has opened new possibilities for both our peoples. James and Corella exchanged glances, sharing a smile that needed no crystal merger to understand. The program began immediately. Under their guidance, carefully chosen humans and Lumini learned to work together, each hosting experience building trust between their species. What had begun as a desperate act of survival was becoming a symbol of cooperation throughout the galaxy. Months later, James stood with Corella in the new Academy's observation dome, watching human and Lumini pairs training together. Remember when I first offered to host you? Corella asked, her crystal form shimmering with amusement. You looked so horrified. James laughed. Well, in human culture, being inside someone usually means something very different. Yes, the Cultural Liaison Office still uses our story as their first lesson. Corella said. How to avoid awkward misunderstandings between species. They watched as a newly merged pair successfully completed their first training exercise. We've come so far, James observed, when you were just a princess in a damaged escape pod. And you were just a human patrol officer who didn't understand hosting, Corella finished. Now look at us, teaching others what we discovered by accident. Below them, more training pairs practiced, their merged forms glowing with different colors as humans and Lumini learned to work together in new ways. You know, James said thoughtfully, when you first asked me to be inside you, I never imagined it would lead to all this. Corella's crystal form pulsed with laughter. And I never imagined a simple rescue would change the course of both our civilizations. They stood together, watching their legacy unfold. What had started as a misunderstanding had become something beautiful, a bridge between species, a new way of seeing the universe, and proof that the greatest strengths often come from learning to trust what seems different. In the space around them, human and Lumini ships patrolled together, their crews ready to face any challenge the way James and Corella had shown them, not as separate species, but as something greater than either could be alone. It was, they both knew, just the beginning.